Today, on the American Land Seller, we catch up with Rachelle Heller, an accredited land consultant with Hertz Farm Management. With an illustrious career spanning 7 years, Rachelle has become a trusted and knowledgeable figure in agriculture real estate, focusing on farmland sales in southeast Iowa. Born and raised on a dairy farm in upstate New York, Rachelle's deep appreciation for the land and its potential was instilled in her from a young age. After earning her master's degree in organizational development, she made the move to Iowa, transitioning from pharmaceutical sales to her current role in land sales. Rachelle's dedication to the industry is further evidenced by her role as the president of the Iowa chapter of the Realtors Land Institute, RLI. As a licensed salesperson in both Iowa and Missouri, an auctioneer, and a drone pilot, she has also earned the esteemed ALC designation and is a 4-time recipient of the coveted Apex Awards. Beyond her professional pursuits, she is also a passionate hunter and avid outdoorsman. Her love for the great outdoors extends beyond her career, finding solace and joy spending time at her farm in Buren County. Sharing these moments with her husband, Rick Heller, the head baseball coach at the University of Iowa. Rachelle is a devoted mother, passionately supporting her daughter, Vivienne, who excels in wrestling and softball. Join us in this episode as we meet Rachelle Heller and gain insights into agricultural real estate and her deep connection to the land and the vibrant community she serves, all while exploring her love for hunting and the great outdoors. As always, we hope you take away something from this episode.
Welcome to the American Land Seller Podcast with your host, Kobe Rickardson. Kobe is an accredited land consultant and multi-state land broker with American Legacy Land Company. Join us each week as we explore all things land. We bring you fresh insights and expert guests on sales, marketing, regulations, economics, and so much more. Visit www.americanlandseller.com and find us on one of your favorite podcast platforms.
Okay, Kobe and our special guests, let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the American Land Seller Podcast. Super excited today. Once again, I gotta say, all of our guests are pretty good, but man, we've been knocking it out of the park this year. We have Rachelle Heller from Hertz. Rachelle, how are you today?
I'm good, Kobe. Hey, thank you so much for having me on. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. We're in the same RLI chapter. And what I think is pretty exciting, you are the captain, you're the president this year of the Iowa chapter of RLI, correct?
Yes, I am, which is I'm a little modest about things like that. Being a politician is not something that is normally in my wheelhouse or that comes naturally to me. But I'm super excited and thankful for the opportunity to be serve as president of the Iowa chapter this year. Obviously, you're a member of it. As you know, I feel like we've got one of the strongest chapters out there. We've got a great group of guys. I think membership wise, we've got about 70 guys around the state. I would say about half of those have their ALCs. So, it's a really strong group of guys that have a lot of experience, have sold a boatload of land. And a lot of them, like I said, they have their ALC. So, they're really serious about it, focused on their education and, being the best of the best. So to have the opportunity to, be involved with this group is an absolute honor. And I'm just super thankful for my chance to serve as president and give back to this group, because they've helped me a ton, and it's been a ton of fun to be a part of.
Well, and I think, something that I guess I've never said before, but I've always thought this is I've encouraged people to check it out, right? And in our industry, and I've said, hey, check out RLI. And most of the time, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but most of the time, if you send an email out to the mothership in Chicago, you might be able to get that $150 waived, for some new person. I leverage that a little bit once in a while and be like, hey, can I sneak somebody in? Can you give them a good deal? And usually they're like, yeah, go ahead. We'll waive the $150 this one time. And And so, but anyway, but those people that I've gotten in, it's like I've never had one person go, yeah, this isn't for me. If you're in our industry, this is absolutely for you. And if you're not in it, you need to check it out. So, but
which is so awesome, because it takes people like you, to get that snowball started. I think over in Iowa, we've kind of gotten to the point where, you're going to have a lot of guys calling you going, this is great, you need to be a part of this, but you don't start from that. So you need people like you going, no, there's value in this. There's reasons to be a part of this. And you're exactly right. I mean, you're not going to hear about guys that are like, no, I'm not, it wasn't worth, whatever the annual membership fee is. And that's kind of the goal. I mean, you want value to be there.
Right. And I think that's something in every organization that I'm in is, it's what is the value for your members? Why would they want to pay it? And I think in our residential brothers and sisters, a lot of time, they are realtors because to be in the MLS and to, it's like a burden instead of a maybe a positive in their career. And so I I just don't know of anybody that thinks of RLI as a burden. It's great networking. It's a great tool in my career for sure. So.
Yeah, you're right though. It's a totally different feel because I am, a member of a local MLS, and I'm not knocking those. I mean, they have their benefits and their place as well. But from a cultural and team standpoint, it's a completely different feel. But I think that is going back to what you were saying. I think that's the difference. And I think one of the goals of our local chapter in Iowa, and one of my goals as president this year, is to really continue to focus on providing value for our members, just looking at, okay, from an education standpoint, who needs what? How many people are working towards their ALC? What can we do to encourage them if they haven't started? If they have, what classes did they still need or haven't taken? Just so, we provide classes on an annual basis. Is it relevant to what our members want? Are they classes that they're useful, that they haven't taken, or that can help, get them to the goal of getting that ALC? So yeah, I think, we just want to make sure members are getting more out of it than what they have to put in. And I think it's funny because when I first joined RLI, I don't think I really knew or took advantage of everything that it had to offer. It was just like, okay, everybody at Hertz was a part of it. So, I'm going to jump on board, but I didn't start out joining all the monthly calls and taking advantage of the socials and different things. So I think, looking ahead, one thing we are going to try to change is just having maybe an orientation, some type of orientation for new members, so they know exactly what the opportunities are, what they can get out of the membership, but also how they can get involved. It's not something you have to jump in and be on the executive committee. I mean, there's different levels of involvement and different ways that you can chip in, even if you don't, you've got a busy schedule or family and don't have a ton of time, or just getting started and, really want to focus on building your business. Just ways to kind of get everybody involved if they want to be involved.
Yeah. And that's one of those things too, that I'm a little like, I like to stir the pot and stuff, but it's been a crazy last 2 years. So we're in with you guys, but it's a long ways to Iowa City or Des Moines where a lot of the stuff happens for me, for the commute. And so that's my goal has been, let's try and backfill enough people so that forces you guys to come back to Omaha or Lincoln or something at the very least.
Yeah. Yeah. And obviously for us specifically, we've talked about, what can we do to get another class, either, Council Bluffs, Omaha, somewhere over that direction, because you're not the only outlier. I mean, Hertz has got a couple offices over there. I mean, in Des Moines, that's going to be just as close if you're in Des Moines, Ames. But that's going back to what we're talking about. We want to be able to do those things to kind of adjust and make sure that we're helping everybody kind of as a whole, so we all grow together.
Yeah, and I did actually. I started the end of last year. I am a land U instructor, so on 3 classes. So if you,
yes, I knew that, which is awesome. It's good. We've got some older guys that have been teaching classes for a long time. It's good to get new younger guys in there to fill these roles, and it's also awesome to have guys that have good experience selling land. It makes it relevant. It makes it more fun.
Yeah.
Selfishly for me, I love going to the classes with guys from the Midwest that teach, because it's relevant to what we do on a daily basis. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's a little, you get in, like I did the Justin Osborne and I just did a podcast the other day, and we were both called it the money one, like the class where, and so I had Phil McGinnis from Delaware was teaching the class, and like his idea of a farm and my idea of a farm are two absolutely different worlds, let alone so it was fun to take a class with him, though, and kind of get that perspective of, like 10 to 15 acres is a pretty good sized farm in Delaware, where, like I don't even count that as something that should count towards your ALC.
No. So are you the land investment analysis? Is that the class?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The money one, the money one.
I know exactly what you were talking about. Yes. That was an intense couple of days.
Yeah, Justin and I were laughing about that one because that was not either one of our favorite ones, but I learned a ton off of that one. And but again, it goes back to, it's like my first class I ever took was with Randy Hertz in Council Bluffs. And, I make this comment a lot, is like, here's Randy, who's technically, like we don't have anything really near us, but technically he's a competitor in a room full of like 20 people that he's teaching a class to, that he's just got like all our collaterals just over there. You can just have it, take it home, whatever you want, just take a look at this. And it's just like about halfway through the first day, you're like, I think he's really telling us what he does. Like,
legit. Yes.
Like, he's just like going through, and this is how we do it. And, and then we have, do this, and this. And it was, I thought, man, I'm being punked or something. Like, how is he giving me all of this stuff?
Yes, and because you can meet real estate agents that is a very, dog eat dog world, and they want success for themselves. And Randy and I, Hertz as a company, as a kind of a culture, is very focused on educating and being better for the purpose of our clients. And I don't think that matters, necessarily just with Hertz. I mean, it's all works out in the end. And at the end of the day, I mean, if it's sports, business, whatever you're looking at, you can share all the information that you have, because the great people didn't get there on their own. They also were helped by somebody before them. So it's a good, you have this duty, I feel, to share what you know and to help the people coming up. But also at the end of the day, you can put everything you know and all your systems and knowledge out there. 80% of the people are probably not going to implement it fully. Yeah. So even if you share all the tips and tricks and trades, it's something completely different to have the information and to take it and to utilize it effectively. So even though, we can go back to being still competitive and wanting to win every proposal that we put out there. But at the same time, at the end of the day, still looking at it as something we're all working to get better, so we all are better for our clients and for ourselves.
Yeah, in the industry, because if we don't work together to be the best that we can be, the industry becomes not only irrelevant but painful for people. And so I think that's the trick with like RLI. That's everybody's attitude is that, it's like,
yes,
I can go point a dot on a ALC or a person in RLI, make a phone call and talk for an hour on, like, hey, I got this problem. What do you think? And they will sit there like they had nothing better to do, just be like, this is what I think. So yeah, it's a great organization. And, so super excited. Congratulations on your year as the president. So
yeah, thank you. So far, it's been fun. I'm looking forward to it.
So, well, I think we'll take a brief break, and we will be right back. The American Land Seller Podcast is brought to you in part by LandHub.com. Join us today and experience the expertise of LandHub's land marketing professionals. Whether you're buying or selling, let us show you the way in the ever-evolving world of land transactions. Visit landhub.com and discover what the future of land marketing looks like. Landhub.com, where your land journey begins. All right, we're back with Rachelle Heller from Hertz. What is it, Hertz Land Company or Hertz?
So it's a great question. So kind of the main company is actually Hertz Farm Management. So within that, Hertz has essentially 3 main branches. They've got their farm management, which is how, Hertz started out. We've also got our real estate division, which is what I focus in. I don't do any farm management at all, just buying, selling. And then we've also got an appraisal department. So kind of 3 branches, which is, it's nice because it's nice to have access to people that are in all of those departments.
Yeah.
It really helps me to talk with farm managers, knowing if they, buyer seller looking for a tenant, or kind of just to keep a pulse on a real regular basis for what cash rents are doing, tile costs, things like that. And even just, a little bit deeper conversations about commodity markets. It's just a great resource to have. Having an appraisal department, goes without saying. I mean, it's a great resource just because if I've got questions, which, right now I feel like I've got a lot of questions on what's going on in certain areas. It's just great to have a certified appraiser that I can call and bounce things off of, or just say, what do you think about this sale? Or what do you think about, buildings, windmills, hog confinements, just to get another opinion. So it's a good combination and really good synergy of those kind of three aspects. And I feel like it does work well to kind of benefit clients in the long run.
Yeah. And that's one thing that, like I've talked about this before, I know, but like between Iowa and Nebraska, where I'm at, like the eastern end of Nebraska is a little bit similar, but the dirt is different. Like I don't like tiling perplexes me, and you guys, like, that's one of your mainstays out there is like, why do you want to get rid of the water? We need that. Like, let's have that sit around for a while.
No, but, we need it. We need to get rid of the water. It's becoming more and more, they're just talking about more and more important, just as far as the impact on yields, getting rid of the water. Right now, obviously it's been a drier year, so I'm not sure if it's helping quite as much this year, but overall, yeah, it's a completely different world. I wish we could run all these tiles across the Missouri River over to you, but I don't think that's going to work.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, it's hard to. I think I've heard that so many times in this country, though, that like it's just, if we could just figure out a way to do an equity on water, then you could, like if you could just take the stuff from the east and give it to California, and so that we had just enough all the way across, it'd be like a trick among tricks. But unfortunately, that's not the way the globe works. So
if you can figure that out, I think you're going to be doing really well.
I'm thinking the problem is it would probably take a pipeline system, and I know Iowa's not super excited about pipelines. So.
Yeah, no, that can be a very, very polarizing, very those can be big issues.
So, how did you decide that this was what you wanted to do? Did you start like some of us in third grade wanting to be a real estate agent, and that's where your dreams and aspirations all began? Or
no, I'm so glad you asked this, because this is something I love hearing stories about how guys got into this business, because for most people, it wasn't your guidance counselor or just waking up going, I want to sell farms. Going all the way back, I guess mine's kind of a long story. I grew up on a dairy farm in upstate New York, which seems crazy because I know people hear the word New York and they get nervous. But the county I grew up in had far more dairy cattle in it than it did people. So it's extremely rural. But so grew up, my dad was a third generation dairy farmer. Extremely thankful to grow up on a farm. I mean, you can't beat it as far as like an upbringing, the fun and the environment and the work ethic. I mean, it's wonderful. But I also knew that milking cows was not my thing. We milk cows 3 times a day. So you start at 4:30 in the morning and the last shift ended about 1:30 in the morning. So it was great. I got to afford a lot of new toys when I was a teenager, but I knew that's not what I wanted to do as a living. So I told my parents that I wanted to go to college. I didn't want to stay on the farm, and luckily they were very supportive of that. College, grad school, moved to Iowa and got into pharmaceutical sales, which was a good job. Learned a lot about people and about selling. It was a great job, but that's what I'll call it. Like, it was a job to me, not a career. It wasn't something that I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so passionate about selling drugs. It wasn't that for me. And then honestly, it got to a point where I was traveling a ton. Ironically, I was actually in Lincoln every week. So I was in a hotel room 2 to 3 nights a week. My husband travels a ton for his job. My daughter was young at the time. We got to the point, we've got 2 nannies and daycare, nobody's home. And I was just like, is this really what it's all about? Like, is this what my life is supposed to be? And just got an opportunity to get into real estate, selling land, and haven't looked back. It was the perfect situation for me because it coupled 2 of the things that I really was passionate about. I love the land and that part of farming, being outdoors, I always loved. So to combine that with kind of the marketing sales background that I had, it was absolute dream come true. And I haven't had to milk a single cow. So it was a win-win-win situation for me. So yeah, that's how, and, have been with Hertz, and it's been a great situation.
Yeah, that is a great story. And you don't do it just to prove you can every once in a while. You don't go.
No, not ever. No.
Well, I grew up on a farm and I love going out and helping with harvest and stuff like that to remind me why I did the right thing and not do it. But I mean, I love the same story,
Yes, the tractor stuff I love. Yeah, being out there, I'll do, food plots for deer and things like that. That portion I love. If it wasn't the cows, I probably would be a farmer. Just wasn't my passion.
Yeah, we just recently were at the Nebraska Cattlemen's Classic at their trade show and their show and sale and everything, and I love to go hang out with those guys, but like my dad got into the cow business kind of after his second career, and so he had a bunch of cows, and we joked around with him. We were like, bud, my brother and I were going to hire an auctioneer that's also a reverend. We can say a few nice things, run 25 pair across and sell them.
Yeah. So, it's not for everybody. I mean, I respect people that do it because it's honest, hard way to make a living, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah. So what, did you start with Hertz, or did you start, why do you pick Hertz?
No, so I started out with whitetail properties and got into that. Oh, wow. I'm a big hunter. I love it. I love deer hunting. I love turkey hunting. I love hunting anything. I'm like a little kid. But started out with that and just got into, I was selling more row crop farms. And just kind of lucked out and talked with Randy. They had an office that was opening in Washington, which is not far from where I live. So, started up with them when they opened that office, and it's been a great fit for me. And so, so focus obviously a lot more on row crop sales. We do sell some, mixed use farms and some recreational farms, but primarily, cropland.
Yeah, that's kind of similar to what we are too. I mean, you got, I wouldn't say that we're like Southern Illinois or like upstate New York where you can like say this is specifically, it's probably our Scandinavian upbringing out here, like we're not going to commit to anything. We can still put cows on that, but deer can live there too.
It could be anything.
As long as they don't eat too much of the corn, we're fine with having a few deer around. I mean, but no, that
could be a problem.
Yeah, no, but so no, I did not know that about you and Whitetail Properties. I did not know that's how you got your start. But
Yeah.
no, Hertz is an absolutely great company. I've never met anybody from there that I haven't really just kind of absolutely, I think they're all rock stars. Yeah, if you don't mind, I think we got one more segment left, Rachel. So if you don't mind hanging out and doing one more, or you got to go somewhere.
No, I'd love to hang out.
All right. Well, we will be right back. The American Land Seller Podcast is brought to you in part by American Legacy Land Company. At American Legacy, our seasoned agents set us apart, providing unmatched service with a personal touch that goes beyond expectations. With a wealth of market knowledge and a diverse portfolio, including farms, ranches, development lands, and recreational properties, we forge lasting connections with clients through honesty, integrity, and transparency. Visit us at AmericanLegacyLandCo.com and find the land that defines your legacy. All right, we're back here with Rachelle Heller from Hertz in Iowa. And, we were talking about this a little bit at the break, but I do have to bring up the fact that the most exciting thing that's happened in Nebraska recently is that we beat your girls' basketball team. So it was a pretty exciting day in Lincoln that day.
I was watching the game. I mean, that was kudos, hats off to them. I mean, they played really well. I mean, they played extremely well. And obviously, Caitlin Clark and this Iowa team, they're tough to beat. I mean, if you want to beat them, you've got to show up, and they did. So no, I tip my hat to them. It's certainly for Iowa, it's been a heck of a season to watch. It's been a ton of fun and so much positive news and publicity for all of women's athletics. It's just it's great to shine a light on that and have it be in such a positive environment. Whatever school you're at, I think it's done nothing but elevate those sports. So it's awesome.
Yeah, I've been a little irritated with Trev Alberts because it's one thing to pay attention to volleyball and football every year, but good grief, they're doing everything pretty well right now. So, Nebraska boys basketball is not too shabby. The girls have been exciting to watch. The wrestling team is losing their minds. And
yeah,
so, it's so kudos to old Trev. I think he's doing a pretty good job as our athletic director.
Yeah, no, he has for sure. You gotta keep that Husker Nation happy. It's not a good thing, I know.
That's right. But so let's talk about Iowa. What's going on with the real estate market in Iowa? I know it's been like a heck of a ride for you guys out there, and you're an auctioneer, and so what I always ask my friends in Iowa is like, how do you know what to advocate for a client when you go in and look at a piece of dirt and you think, do you auction? Do you list? Do you, most of the time when I talk to auctioneers, it's always auction. And so, but because you get a pure value or so, I always say that on the other side of that, you get a pure value of the people that are there that day, So, but,
yes.
So what's your secret sauce on that? What are we telling our clients out your way?
Well, I mean, you're 100% right. I mean, the market over the past 3 years has been, insane to watch. I mean, it was, you look at what happened back in 2021, 2022, land values were skyrocketing so fast. I mean, it felt like on a monthly basis, you couldn't keep up with what the value of land was doing. Ton of farms hit the market and were auctioned. When I say skyrocketing values, I mean, you're literally looking at 5 to 10% increases in value, like on a quarterly basis, which is just, it's crazy to comprehend something appreciating that much that quickly. Obviously things have changed as we've kind of, got to the end of 2023 and certainly going into this year. And it feels different. It feels very different. I would say that, I don't think the interest rates as of yet has had as much impact on farmland values as they have, in the residential market or in the commercial market. And, just specifically here in Iowa, guys still have some cash. I mean, and there has up to this point been a lot of cash. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw record profits in 2021, record profits 20. So, there was just a lot of cash in the market. So when the interest rates went up, it wasn't this immediate, crash of the land market. I mean, there was still a lot of money out there supporting the land values. That being said, things have shifted. So yeah, interest rates play into that. The commodity markets, you look at corn and soybean prices over the last 12 months, and it's not good, to put it mildly. Even the last few weeks, I mean, it's bad, and it's not getting better right now. So that has probably the number one thing in Iowa that's going to impact land values, but also the buyers' attitudes, and when they're seeing these prices, and, very thin margins, even if last year, guys had yields that were overall, I think, better than expected, because we started out with some droughts early on. Yields are okay, but at the end of the day, I mean, still the input prices were extremely high, and profit margins just weren't what they were seeing. And to have that and then see what we're seeing in the commodity markets now, I mean, it's changing, and you can feel it. I mean, you can absolutely feel it. So back to your question, 2 years ago, it was majority of farms. Yeah, let's take it to auction. The market's there. They want to spend some money. They want to spend some money. We've got investors that are there because this is a great way for them to diversify their portfolio. We had a ton of investors in the market. So take it to auction, because you're going to get, I can't tell you what you're going to get on some of these farms. We were breaking records in almost all these counties. So fast forward to where we're at today, it just feels different. Investors are, if you're a short-term investor, 2 to 3% return on farmland, when you can throw that money into a CD and get 4 or 5%, the farmland just doesn't look as attractive as it did a couple years ago. So we're not recommending taking all farms to auction, or I'm not in Southeast Iowa. It's complicated. You've got to look at the farm. Is it 80 acres of flat black dirt? Those are still going to sell really well. I mean, you're going to have people that's going to do well. If the farm is a mixed use farm, has some flaws, a lot of waterways or a big chunk of timber in it, buyers, in my opinion, don't feel the need to have that farm like they did a year ago, 2 years ago. They're not as excited because of what's going on with interest rates in the commodity market. So for an auction to be successful, you have to have competition. You've got to have two guys there to push each other, or it's not going to work. So when we have less competition, less guys interested, an auction, in my opinion, is not always going to be the way to go. I'm also seeing a lot of variability depending on the neighborhood. You'll see one farm in one neighborhood, awesome sale, competitive bidding, two neighbors push each other. I mean, it does really well. You go a couple miles down the road, it's just a little bit different neighborhood, very similar farm, but this property doesn't butt up to, a big time farmer. We're seeing them not do as well. So so a lot of variability based on location right now, more than what we've seen in the past, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's extremely smart information. I mean, and I think like the fun and kind of nerve-wracking thing about being in the land industry is you are absolutely right. You can feel it. You look at 3 to 5 indicators, and it's like a pretty apparent what you're looking at for the next several months, and which is is a little echoey right now, I think. But it'll be interesting to see. The only, I think, variable in farmland right now, because like you said, $4 corn, high interest rates. We had a fun year last year. A bunch of producers that we hadn't seen for a while are back in mixing it up with, in land sales. We're seeing these guys at the auctions that we haven't seen in a long time. And I love it when producers are buying their buying the neighbor's property and improving their farms.
Yeah.
Ton of cash in the land world. One interesting thing though that I think would be interesting, at least for the next year, is with the vacation of money from office space and needing to go somewhere in the real estate world, and all of a sudden, more and more you see like the the REITs and the Delaware Land Trusts in the rural market. I'm not sure if you're seeing that. We have all of a sudden in the last 8 months or so. Just is that something maybe that's going to be a variable that maybe will keep things at least moving along for the next foreseeable future, or you think that's just kind of a short-term deal?
I think for sure it is. It's just to what degree, I don't know. That's where the crystal ball would come in really handy right about now. Because I do think it's going to have an impact. It's hard for me to confidently say how much of an impact it's going to have. Maybe you have something that I don't know. I just don't know. It's just hard to say right now. There's so many just things are like just said, it's just kind of changing.
Yeah. It's interesting, that's for sure. But
oh
I don't
yeah,
know. I don't think. I mean, I think you might have some stability for a while. I don't know that that we're going to see a big dip in anything. I've never really seen land prices take a hit, but yeah, I think there's going to be some caution. I think it's and I think some patience that definitely sellers aren't going to be used to patience, because things
right.
have been selling so quickly.
Nope, I agree.
But,
I think the market. I mean, there's enough strength in the ag sector as a whole. Most of the land in Iowa, it's owned outright. We're not an area where it's highly leveraged. So I don't see a crash or a massive dip in land values either. More of just kind of a, normalization. Because when you look back at the last couple of years, probably not normal. But I'm not nervous that this is going to be a doom and gloom thing. It's just, like we always have to do. I mean, the market's constantly changing. We just kind of tie up our boots and adjust to what's going on and come up with a new game plan.
yeah, no, that's absolutely right. And that's the fun thing about our job is we get to constantly think about what's the next best thing and how are we going to conquer this hill. So it's just like a Tuesday in our world.
We don't get bored. We don't want to get bored. It's too easy.
Do not get bored. That's before we go, let's just hit on some of the stuff. Like we've talked a little bit about what the market's doing. What kind of things are you kind of paying attention to? Maybe geopolitically or whatever that might have an impact on land sales or land ownership in the coming. I mean, you're the president of the Iowa chapter of RLI. You're watching this stuff pretty closely. What are you kind of looking at to maybe we should pay attention to?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think, obviously you'll have the things that are always going to impact land values that we've touched on, commodity prices, interest rates, input values, they're always going to have an impact. Just a couple of things that if there are changes, it could definitely have an impact on land values in Iowa. 1031 exchanges, that's right. We do a lot with that, and you probably do a lot with that too. If that was to go away, I think it would really impact the decisions that farmers and investors would make if they couldn't defer those taxes and roll into other investment properties or larger different farms. I think that could potentially have an impact on land values. The step up in basis is a big thing in Iowa. Average landowner, I believe, is, they're in their 80s. So a lot of them, I talked to these guys, they bought these farms at $500 to $1,000 an acre. I mean, it's mind blowing, but obviously the tax implications are huge with that. The capital gains, if they were just to cash out and retire. In general, farmers are very conservative in Iowa. They would rather, if they don't have kids that are farming, they can retire and live off the cash rent and choose rather than to pay those taxes just to, it's part of their legacy, plan for their kids. The kids get that step up in basis and don't have the, as significant of a tax implication. So if that were to change or go away, I mean, it's going to change your game plan. I mean, if the taxes are going to get paid at some point, I foresee more people not waiting to sell farms. So that would absolutely, I think, impact land values. One other thing, just specifically for like recreational farms, there's been some legislation, and I don't, how long or if something like this gets passed, but they've talked about deer tags for landowners. So right now, if you live in Nebraska, but you own farmland in Iowa, you still have to go through the lottery system to get a buck tag. So my farm's in Van Buren County. So if you want to get your buck tag during archery, you're getting it once every 3, 4, potentially 5 years. You're able to hunt your own ground in Iowa because you're not a resident. So there's legislation that would change that. If you own ground, I believe it's 10 years, you would be able to, guaranteed get that buck tag on a yearly basis. So something like that changes. I think the interest and demand from out of state hunters for recreational ground would go through the roof. And I think obviously, land values would follow that trend. So those are just a couple things that, again, aside wishing that I had a crystal ball to know what the future was going to be. Those things could, if they happen or there are changes, would have an impact on land value.
Well, and I would imagine that if something changed with the deer tags or whatever in Iowa, that would be a game changer for a lot of areas that in Iowa, because I think that's what holds, like Nebraska, we get a lot of I call them foreigners, but mostly they're from the Southeast or whatever. They come up or they buy property up here, or they don't even buy it. They just come up and they pay the excruciating payment to get the tag, and then they go hunting here. So yeah, I think that would be a game changer for you guys.
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, it's surprisingly enough, we're running out of time here. So let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, Miss Rachel.
Well, so email address is rachel.h@hertz.ag. Maybe we can put something up because we've talked about this. I have the goofiest spelled name that there is.
I will have your contact in the show notes here.
Phone number, though, area code 3.
And I imagine they could go search you on hertz.com too.
Yep, it's actually hertz.ag.
Isn't it? Yeah, you guys are fancy.
Fancy ag. Yeah, www. I don't need you renting any cars.
That's right. I never thought about that until just now. I probably in the beginning was like the car people or in the farm world or.
Yeah,
Nope. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this today. I know people's time is valuable, and I always appreciate having a conversation with great land sellers out there around the world. It's just so much fun to not only learn, but just get to know people better in the industry. So thanks so much.
No, thank you, Kobe. I really appreciate it. And anytime. This has been a ton of fun.
All right. Well, good luck to your year as president. And for everyone else, we will see you all down the road.
As we wrap up another episode of the American Land Seller Podcast, thank you for joining us. Visit www.americanlandseller.com and find us on one of your favorite podcast platforms. If you would be so kind and you enjoyed today's insights, please like, subscribe, rate, follow, and review us on whatever app you are listening or watching on. Connect with us on social media for updates. Until next week, Kobe wishes you success in your land endeavors. God bless you and have a great week.
The American Land Seller Podcast is brought to you in part by LandHub.com. At LandHub, we're revolutionizing land transactions by effectively connecting buyers and sellers. Say goodbye to the struggle of finding or marketing land for sale. We understand the power of new media marketing, leveraging social media, and targeted ads to bring together the ideal audience for all property types. LandHub.com, where your land journey begins. And American Legacy Land Company. At American Legacy, we redefine excellence in real estate. Explore our top quality offerings featuring farms, ranches, recreational properties, and even development projects spanning 10 Midwest states. Visit us at AmericanLegacyLandCo.com for a premium experience that aligns with your land ownership goals. Whether you're looking at buying or selling, we're dedicated to helping you find the land that defines your legacy.